What's up, everybody, and welcome to Kirby in the Forgotten Land Ending Explained. So, a few things. If you're watching this video, you either just were interested in Kirby lore, got the game's normal ending, and were interested in the true ending, or you got through the true ending and you realized that this game actually had a lot of lore built into it and you want to know more on it. Now, a lot of the lore is actually locked behind the collectible figurines. I will show them on screen, but these figurines kind of piece together the story besides the cutscenes, and they're actually kind of important to get. While there's 256 in the game, most of the major figurines you could get by beating all the major missions, or you just get lucky. They're usually in the Volume 4 ones. Now, before I jump into this, don't forget, guys, to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when I go live with more ending explanation videos, game theory videos, or just gameplay and guide videos. I appreciate all those who are subscribed and future subscribers. And, always comment, let me know, what's up, what you guys are playing. Always interested to hear, and how you guys liked Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Now, jumping into this, the most important thing we need to know is what IDF-86 and IDF-87 is. IDF-86 is the major bad guy in this game called Fecto Forgo. IDF-87 is Kirby's partner in this game called Elfilin. Not 100% on the pronunciation, or Elfilin, but just know that if I mix between the names, that is what I'm talking about. Not to be confused or not to be mixed with the overarching major antagonist or the main bad guy of this game, Elfilis, which is the fused form of IDF-86 and IDF-87, or their true form. So Kirby in the Forgotten Land starts off pretty simple. Kirby gets absorbed into some sort of mysterious void, and, well, along with other residents from planet Popstar, and they end up in, it seems, a desolate but not completely inhabited world that has these wild animals kidnapping and chasing after Waddle Dees. These animals are called the Beastars. Now, from everything beyond this point will be considered at the end of the game, which is World 6, World 7, the last level of World 6, right before we get to World 7, which is the Lab Discovera. So, once you reach the final world in the base game, Lab Discovera, after the battle with Forgo Deity, you learn about what happened to this world, and why the Beast Pack was after Elfilin the entire game, and what he means to the overarching antagonist. To go into it, the overarching antagonist is an invasive species called the Fecto Forgo. They arrived on this planet, the Forgotten Planet or Forgotten Land that you're on, and they attacked all native wildlife when it first arrived. However, the creature was soon captured and given the ID F86. These native inhabitants of the land turned it into a test subject. With the powers of warping that Fecto Forgo had, IDF-86 brought them advancements in technology beyond their wildest dreams. At this point, as you go up the elevator to the Lab of Discovera, you kind of see in a Matrix-like scene that all these kidnapped Waddle Dees are being used to power the lab. However, these Waddle Dees are not just powering the lab, they're powering something called the Eternal Capsule, which is where F86 has been laying dormant for 30 years. An incident occurred, aka this is why he's been dormant for 30 years, but an incident occurred in the lab 30 years ago where IDF-87 was created from IDF-86 and escaped the lab, leaving F86 in a coma-like stasis, where the researchers, before they abandoned the planet, placed him in the Eternal Capsule and they left, which brings a bit of irony to the game because Kirby's celebrating its 30th anniversary. Now, for the last 30 years, Waddle Dees have been being kidnapped from planet Popstar in order to fuel and power IDF-86 and the Lab Discovera. The previous inhabitants of the planet eventually used the technology they got to leave the planet altogether. Fecto Forgo quotes saying, "They left to a planet of dreams." Now, this could be an allusion to Dreamland and Popstar, meaning that Kirby's descendants came from this forgotten land, but this is kind of all that's left for game theory right now, or when I game theorize this game later on. The only thing that's confirmed is that the previous researchers of the Forgotten Land of that planet left that planet with their warping abilities to a land of dreams because of IDF-86. After that, within the last 30 years, IDF-86 has been teleporting and taking people from planet Popstar in order to fuel the lab Discovera. Now, as time passed, or after those inhabitants left, the only thing left on the planet was wildlife. And this wildlife took over the planet. And their leader, the king of the beasts, Leongar, discovered IDF-86 and one day became a completely different person according to the Beast Pack. He became a pawn for the invading specimen who was plotting his revenge for the last 30 years for those who kidnapped and left him. IDF-87, who we learn now to be Elfilin, is the missing half of F-86 from that mission, as Leongar tells us on his throne. He's being sought by the Beast Pack, who Leon leads. Leon, however, has changed since he became into contact with IDF-86, and according to Chlorine, his, let's just say, close associate, though assumed lover, Leon started speaking a strange language that no one could understand. To us, it sounds like English, and that could be a thing or an allusion to Earth and all that, because the robot voice that comes in is in English, and while the signs are in alien language, some of it is translated, but at the same time, it could just be whatever native language, and it's still an alien language to us. This is also part of game theory, so we're not going to go fully into it. However, the only thing confirmed is that Leon started speaking while everyone else can't speak because they're animals and beasts. After he was used or taken over, which is something Fecto Forgo can do, they started to do a lot of bidding. We learned through the figurines and from King Dedede that IDF-86 has the ability to mind control people, and he successfully controlled Leon and King Dedede. However, as we learned from the Phantom Meta Knight figurine, Fecto Forgo actually tried to take over Meta Knight when Meta Knight first arrived on the planet, which was slightly before Kirby. However, Meta Knight actually defeated his mind control out of sheer will, and it just failed, so it could not take over Meta Knight. But it successfully took over King Dedede and added him to his ranks. Here, you find out Leongar has been providing workforce, food, and sources of energy for F-86. He thinks that he's going to be promised what the previous inhabitants of the planet or the land had, some sort of amazing gift to lead his people to a promised land. After defeating Leongar, you find out F-86 accidentally warped Kirby to this planet, as it was meant just to find more Waddle Dees to add to the workforce. This is why he goes pink amalgamation. He quotes a lot of things where Kirby's not supposed to be there, and then he tries to absorb and all that. So, once again, after you defeat the messed up form of Fecto Forgo, aka after you defeated Leongar, Elfilin sacrifices himself, or he realizes he doesn't sacrifice himself, he merges with Fecto Forgo because he realizes it's the only way to control its pure anger of trying to absorb everything and complete itself. However, when things seem kind of over, the ultimate life form after absorbing Elfilin becomes Fecto Elfilis, and it awakens looking like an angel or a messenger of destruction. Kirby fights Elfilin to rescue, F-87. Kirby fights Elfilis to rescue Project ID F-87 Elfilin from the destructive will of Fecto Forgo. As the battle rages on, Kirby frees F-87, who not only tries to destroy Kirby in a last-ditch effort, but also the Forgotten Land by launching Kirby's home planet Popstar, causing the two worlds to collide, and his plan to destroy them all. There to stop it, Elfilin sacrifices himself with a tearful goodbye to Kirby, and saves his new friend Kirby's home and Kirby. But we see through a glimmer of light, we see Kirby smiling right before the credits end, and we know Kirby's friend successfully returns and saves both the Forgotten Land and Planet Popstar. That's the normal ending of the game. However, for those who get everything, they are allowed to venture into the Illusion Isles, or known as Forgo Dreams, which is his dimension. This is because, as other Beast Pack executive members mentioned, Leon never returned after the final battle, while the rest of the Beast Pack did. We find out that Leon's body is now hidden in the Phantom Dimension, aka Forgo Dreams, and his soul is scattered because IDF-86 brought him there and has a new plan. His plan is to create a new army of Phantom Beasts and claim Leon Gar's body as his own. This is a quote from the figurines telling you exactly what happens, as you guys can see here. Kirby ventures through his whole journey again now. He goes through every land before, but more powerful illusion beasts, and finally stops Phantom Forgo from fully taking over Leon and successfully saves him. Phantom Forgo is finally separated from Leon, and after all, and right before he's going to do something, let's just say menacing, a butterfly comes by and it absorbs its soul. The butterfly is the fluttering fiend that casts judgment upon final battles and is drawn to the dimension of Forgo Dreams. It is Morpho Knight. Now, defeating Forgo Knight when you defeated Forgo Knight Leon, or essentially after you defeat Forgo Knight Leon and Morpho Knight, you're able to successfully place Leon's soul, or Leon Gar's soul, back into Leon. The reason why Morpho Knight came by is because the will and soul of Phantom Forgo, it brought that butterfly, that fluttering butterfly in, and it had enough desire of hate and revenge in order to create Morpho Knight and basically draw the final ultimate battle. That's kind of what Morpho Knight does. He senses a powerful entity, a final battle, and he kind of uses it as his way to get it. So, after defeating Forgo Knight, Leon comes back home with everyone, and the day is saved. Well, except for one more thing. Luckily for us, it's the final thing, and that is something going on at the Coliseum at Waddle Dee Town. And I know, there's always more in a Kirby game, but this is the final thing, I'm telling you guys. After traveling in the Coliseum to another dimension, you have to fight every boss again, including Morpho Knight and an illusion form of Meta Knight. The reason why these illusions exist is because Fecto Forgo is able to kind of create illusions based off things he's either mind controlled or had an attempt to. So even though he wasn't successful on controlling Meta Knight, he was still able to enter his mind, and he was able to create an illusion based off what he got from it. After you defeat every boss again, including Morpho Knight, you come face to face with Chaos Elfilis. The being is that of pure chaos. He's formed from the soul remnant of Elfilis and is your toughest battle yet. But in the end, Kirby comes out on top with hope. What makes this battle very strange or peculiar is actually the color pattern of this character. Now, this is also another game theory thing, but Chaos Elfilis actually has the same color scheme as that of O2 in Kirby and the Crystal Shards. So if we look at O2, we know that, or 02, I like to call it O2, he's the true main antagonist, and he resides deep within the Dark Star and all that. The idea of him is that they're both angelic traits. Remember, as Chaos Elfilis and Elfilis in itself look like angels. They have angel wings, and this one, while he may have a spear, they do have kind of a, let's call it like a halo or half arch on that. The only difference, obviously, is not having, the blood eye in the middle of it. But it's something to look at, and, it could be something related to dark matter. However, there was no dark matter in this game, so it could be the other Kirby timeline. But it's just a reference to it, and I think it's something that's very important because they're both bringer of destruction's world, and they're both angelic looking. But after defeating him and getting it, you realize that, or you don't realize, the game tells you that this being is that of pure chaos. He is formed from the soul remnants of Elfilis that was left over in the Phantom Illusion. And coming out on top, finally, the last bit of life from Elfilis willingly returns to Elfilin, and the two finally become one again. And that is the entire story of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Elfilis is... The reason why you have to fight him again is because the Illusion Dimension, the Illusion Isles, Those are called the Forgo dreams. He essentially dreams his own dimension, and that is why all that happens again. I do hope you guys enjoyed the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know how you guys enjoyed it, what boss battles you guys really like. Maybe this wasn't your favorite Kirby game, so let me know your favorite Kirby game. Alright guys, peace and thank you.